can use the pencil, you can have the pen, John. Like, should I, should I be bringing those batteries inside the house? Like, the garage is like frozen. Should I, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna use them, no, I wouldn't, because there's a chance of them freezing.
Oh, I don't know. This little, the little 6 volt.
No, that's the mother.
Yeah, and those stupid batteries are super expensive. They're ridiculously expensive.
They were like
It's like
85.
the battery, or should I spend $20 to just get a whole new one? You know, it's like,
The crowd is fizzling out. And then, yeah. Good. And I should turn off my ringer. Somebody angry. He's gonna be the. Did you talk to Gene? He said 2 molars pulled. Doc says tomorrow. Short term. Oh, yeah.
you got,
He looks that angry.
who's telling you the one?
Maybe, I don't know him definitely.
Right. No, could be.
Oh yeah, he was fine last night. They didn't bring it up. That'll bring a tough man to his knees.
20 years.
Don't mess it up. Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to have a moment of silence to remember the service and sacrifices of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. And Mr. Dyer had one quick thing to add to that.
I just wanted to add, let's remember the tragedy today in California, in Santa Clara. 2 young kids lost their life today, and just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Abrahamson? Councilmember Quinn?
Here.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Here.
Councilmember Noon?
Here.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Jedinak?
Here.
Vice President Jackson?
Here.
President Sackett?
Here. This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record and Star Ledger, the official newspaper for the Township of Rockaway, on September 14th, 2019. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township. Number 6, we have approval of minutes for October 7th, 2019, regular meeting. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Jedinak?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. We have 7 yeses and 1 abstention. Motion carries. Number 7, moving on to open to the public. And before we go to that, I just want to read something quickly. Any person desiring to address the council shall first seek recognition by the presiding officer, provided, however, that a portion of the regular monthly public meeting and the monthly conference agenda meeting shall be open to the public comment. Upon recognition by the chair, the person shall give his name and address in an audible tone of voice for the records. Unless further time is granted by the council, he shall limit his statement to 5 minutes. Statement shall be addressed to the council as a body and to any member thereof. A councilman shall not direct any question to a speaker addressing the council. except through the presiding officer. The language of this section controls not only members of the public, but also members of the council. In particular, the last sentence of the above code section clearly states that no member of the council shall engage a member of the public without being granted permission to do so by the presiding officer. That code revision will be strictly enforced. Members of the council will not, without the permission of the presiding officer, be allowed to randomly engage members of the public, the administration and staff, and the township attorneys with random inquiries during the public session without leave to do so.
Council President,
Yes?
can you just give me the provision of that you just read?
Section 2-5.14.
Thank you.
We have first Dave Press.
Dave Press, 71 Oakland Avenue. Excuse me. First of all, I just want to congratulate people that won the election. Unfortunately, we'll still have Mr. Kelly to deal with. And for the two of you who are leaving very soon, just basically don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Thank you.
We have Michael Lardy.
Michael Lardy, 19 North Brookside Drive. Several follow-up things. I brought a few homes to your attention, 14 Cayuga. I know these have been addressed, but nothing has seemed to be done with the properties. It's been, I think enough time that there could be some follow-up on it. The other house was, I think the address is 102 White Meadow Road. It's the one right next to the boat ramp at the clubhouse. That property is a disaster. Another one that someone else brought to my attention, now that this is on YouTube, people see I bring these things and then they come to me because they don't want to come here. But 12 Seneca, the guy basically he's got wood in front of his house year-round, like he's splitting logs, and the place is a disaster. But that was brought to my attention by one of the neighbors there. The bushes still at Old Middletown and West Lakeshore, they haven't been cut. And at night, you can see the headlights coming over the crest of the hill, but in the daytime, you constantly have to come out to see a car coming down the hill. The Airbnbs, I know it's being worked on, and we appreciate that, but just to bring to your attention, the police are called on a regular basis to that property, 31 West Lakeshore, at 1, 2 in the morning. So we're really wasting resources on this property, so hopefully that could be used and part of your working on the ordinance or with whatever you're being able to do. I know the township requests from White Meadow Lake the use of the A field annually, and we usually get a letter, and I just want to remind the township to send that letter to the board so it could be addressed in a timely manner for next season. I don't know where we stand with the Wawa that, is interested in coming over in the corner, but I know one of the complaints that come here is we don't want a Wawa because the traffic is a disaster now. The traffic is a disaster now, mainly because of the interchange with Route 80, that the light is offset from the entrance to westbound 80, which Wawa is willing to rectify that whole thing at no cost to the taxpayers. So it would be a benefit to have Wawa there and straighten out that whole intersection. So I'm hoping that is being worked on. Lastly, there's a COLA meeting, which is a coalition of lake associations, which is pretty much monthly at Lake Mohawk. And we have representatives from White Meadow Lake that always attend, and I know we were trying to get someone from the township to attend also because this month they're discussing grants for the watershed, which could be used for geese control possibly between White Meadow Lake and Rockaway Township. I know the township says they don't have somebody who's available to attend, but we would forward that information to the appropriate people that we've been dealing with. But I just want to let you know
What's the date on that?
this Saturday. This Saturday. I don't know, look at a calendar, sorry.
Can you send it to me?
The 16th, whatever this Saturday is.
Like at night?
No, it's 9 a.m.
Okay.
at Lake
Morning.
Mohawk. It's 9 to 12. They serve a light breakfast, and it's always very informational. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Degnan?
Pat Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive. I'd like to thank all the candidates that ran in the most recent election for Rockaway Township. In my opinion, it was one of the most congenial campaigns run by both sides, and I'd like to thank you because it kind of brought a little bit of peace to our community. So thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Jim Waters?
Hi, Jim Waters, 48 Seneca Avenue. It's good to see all the people on the council and, as always, the people on the administration. Our public safety people, Doug Abe, and the important people, the taxpayers of the township of Rockaway. I'd just like to second what Pat said. I thought it was, I'd like to thank all the candidates who ran, those that were successful and those that were not successful. I think we had a real good list and a lot of very interested people. There are some jobs in this township that frankly are worth a lot more money than we as taxpayers pay for them. And we owe you a great deal of gratitude for your public service here. I'd like to thank you for that. I have one other thing. I'd like to kind of play if I might, play a short audio that I have. We can, let me just play a little bit of it and then we can talk about it. Someone wants to talk.
A lot of the change that's going on from what I'm seeing now, I think there's going to be a change with this board. And it's concerning to me. Because they're trying to, this new regime, this new majority, this somewhat administration that's kind of somewhat taking over the legislative branch of government, which we control some of these appointing positions, they're getting flooded with interest to come on to certain boards, and this being one of them. And I just want all of you to be aware of that. There's some old members that were on here that were no longer on here that are trying to come back on here that I thought was part of that court feeling in front of this board. And I think it would be horrible to have that change. And I think there are some members close to this board that know that it's happening. And I hope that maybe there's a voice that can say, hey, wait a minute, we don't need any, we got a good thing going on right now, and we can keep it that way. Because again, you're all doing the right thing. And I'm afraid that if something was to come up, maybe there's going to be the wrong thing that's happening, which is what we tried to change from what it was once before to where it is right now. So don't be blind to it. I know all of you are going to be great people and you know, receive whatever it may be. But in the last couple of weeks, this interest that's coming in, the players, the people, backgrounds they have, the connections they have, I just don't want to see a very pure board, you know, be tainted with some poison. So I applaud all of you for what you did. Take my words for what they are.
There was a Board of Adjustment meeting that took place in October of this year. That was a council person on this council talking to volunteer members of the planning board, telling them that there's a new sheriff in town, basically, and that they need to watch their step. I think that's totally inappropriate, unethical, and I think that council person owes an apology to everyone present and all the people on the various committees. I don't know if this shenanigan took place at any of the other committee meetings. I hope it didn't, and I hope it doesn't repeat itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Bogasat.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Charlie Bogasat, 24 North Lakeshore Drive. I want to speak about those upcoming watershed grants offered by the state of New Jersey. As a taxpayer, I always feel that the governing municipal body should be seeking out grants which provide the opportunity to provide or to improve the infrastructure of the township without any extra cost to the taxpayers. The watershed grants, I would be disappointed if I didn't see council people at large, or especially council people that represent lake areas, attending the upcoming workshop on watershed grants. As of now, in White Meadow Lake and Tilcon share a watershed, and White Meadow Lake and Tilcon have a good neighbor relationship where we solve issues within the watershed. But I never see the township involved in that. Years ago, decades ago, Manny used to be involved, when Manny was the liaison for the Environmental Commission. And I remember meetings where Manny and I and other members of the White Meadow Lake community and representatives of Rock Products would meet to resolve water issues in the watershed. But there's no such meetings going on now. And to me, that's a shame, because there's grants coming up. And to me, it's a real disappointment when this Saturday morning, there's a significant presentation about this grant and how Ringwood is already utilizing this grant. And yet, no one from Rockaway Township is going to be at this meeting. So I implore you, if you're a council person representing a lake community, if you're a council president at large, and all of Rockaway Township is one big watershed with a few smaller watersheds within that big watershed. So I can't understand why we would let this go through, why we would lose this opportunity. So this Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, November 16th, at the Lake Mohawk Country Club, there's going to be a presentation by COLA, the Coalition of Lake Associations, about these grants, the technical aspects of applying for these grants, the availability of these grants, and a demonstration, or a presentation rather, of how Ringwood is already utilizing this grant. And as an enticement to go, you will be offered a continental breakfast. And not only the continental breakfast, but you will be entitled to free parking, because as you know, Lake Mohawk now charges to park in their parking lot. But you'll be given free parking and a continental breakfast. And if you really do intend to be a true representative of the lake community that put you into office, what you would do is you would park in the Lake Mohawk Country Club parking lot free of charge, walk across the street, go through the ground floor door at their circle, not up on the boardwalk, but down on the street level, and then just go into the main lobby, and the room on your right will be the presentation. In the back of the room, you have the continental breakfast. This is a technical presentation by the state and by Princeton Hydro. I would be truly disappointed as a taxpayer if I felt my representatives were not taking this opportunity to bring money into the township. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Council President may be recognized.
1 second. I want to go back to Michael Lardy, and we'll hold that for a second.
Okay, thank you.
Just going back to what Mr. Lardy had said, a bunch of issues he was talking about. I'm not sure what happened from last meeting. Mr. Mayor Pusio, I'm not sure who.
Some of the properties that he's speaking about, letters have been sent to them, and I'll let Ms. Seeger address that.
I know when the letters are sent, they have to give them a certain amount of days, 30 days, and then they go back out, and then they'll get a court case. But I know they were served.
No, I know you did send me that message.
I did send that to you, right? Yes.
I got that.
And the time limit isn't, yeah, the time limit isn't up, and when it is, the zoning officer will go back out.
But they were addressed.
Yes,
Allison can,
and may I add that 14 Cayuga was boarded up and the property cleaned up. That would happen about 2 weeks ago.
yes.
Also, you brought up the COLA meeting, which Charlie had brought up also. That was actually the first time I've heard about it. I did wish that we had known little notice previously. I'm not sure who normally works on that from administration. I'm not sure whether it's what department. I don't know if we can send someone there.
Princeton Hydro is our professional that works with the engineering department, and I'm sure they would let us know what we are able to get to, right?
Yes, so Princeton Hydro is offering that grant expo. They typically are organized by watershed, as you are probably aware of, and that, we were looking into it last year. They often target watersheds with that grant. I would love to go this Saturday, but I do have my 3-year-old's birthday party. And then I think we solicited and tried to get personnel to go to that, and everybody was,
Sure, Charlie?
I understand people have family commitments. But I've been pushing this for a couple of weeks now. And I have my email record of how I've been sending out emails about this. And the only reason I came to the town council, I'm kind of disappointed. So I'm hoping perhaps at least somebody from the council would go. Because once again, as a taxpayer, I can't believe that here is an opportunity to learn about grants and no one from our township is going to be there.
Well, I'm not sure did you want to add on to that? Do you want to discuss
I
on
do, and I
Are you
know
available?
Charlie,
Jonathan?
can I, please? Thank you, Mr. Seeger.
Yeah, go.
And Charlie, you are right, and I'm involved with Lake Telemark. We have had some participation in meetings, myself have included, been up there in Mohawk. They do a great presentation, not just on the grant end of it, but Hub Lakes and everything else that we're involved with. We try to communicate together to see other things, not just with grants, but we have some other water issues that are going on. There's some litigation and lawsuits about mandatory dues that help offset some of those costs with the lakes. And so we do talk and meet as groups and whatnot, and concerning what you have now. The question I had, though, is that the council does not write grants. We have our administration, members of our administration. We have a resolution for professionals for Princeton. Mrs. Fronte, is there somebody that's in the works right now that is aware of this, that is actually preparing a potential grant to receive some monies for some of the bodies of water we have in Rockaway?
we're aware of the grant application, and if there is an opportunity, we would solicit Princeton Hydro.
But we can guarantee to Charlie that we are in the process of potentially reviewing that, maybe potentially writing a grant to potentially be a recipient of that benefit of a grant being approved for us.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Okay. No, I mean, are we currently doing it now?
No, it's ahead of the game, but once the grant is looked at, and it goes by watershed, right? So when the watershed is when it's announced, when the targeted region, Princeton Hydro has like a pulse on this grant application. So for instance, we were in contact with them last year. Thank you. So it was not beneficial for us to submit an application last year.
It wasn't overlooked.
Is there a cost to the township to write a grant or to invest a little bit of time?
It depends if we could take it on ourselves or
Yeah.
if we retain Princeton Hydro.
Or either of the two.
Or a consultant.
It's just that I just want to reassure Charlie that we do take it seriously and that we are looking into it, rather than a projection that nobody has any interest and nobody's been to Mohawk for the meetings that they have. I just wanted to be on the record that we do have an interest. There are members of the council, I can't speak for all of them, but myself, I've been to the Mohawk where they had those presentations, not on this particular issue, but other issues that are there. I do take it seriously, and I believe that our township administration does as well. So you've heard it from them that they're going to look into it. Hopefully I'll see you there on Saturday. And if there's any other questions or maybe a follow-up that you need, you can either have exchange of email through the administration for that. But thank you for your concern on that.
Good, very good. And Charlie, same thing. You could, feel free to always email.
He does.
I didn't get anything on this. I get a lot of, Mike sends me a lot of emails. Feel free to email as well, and instead of, let us know, a little heads up. But definitely something that, grants is something that I'm highly interested in as well, and, thank you for coming and bringing it to our attention. Moving on, to number 8, ordinances to introduce. Ordinance 019-25, an ordinance of the Township of Rockaway in the County of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant of $33,660 for improvements to the Ford Face House. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I think Mr. Freelander, right?
Okay, you both talk at the same time. Manny with the motion, Jack with the second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Quinn.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander.
Yes.
Councilmember Noon.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Yes.
Can everyone turn their mics off?
Jack and Tucker.
Councilmember Brooks.
Yes.
Councilmember Jednak.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
President Sackett.
Yes, we have 8 yeses. Motion carries. Moving on to number 9, consent agenda. We have A, 19-195, B, 19-196, C, 19-197, D, 19-198, E, 19-199. We have F, 19-200, G, 19-201, H, 19-202, I, 19-203. Do we have a motion?
Council President.
So moved.
Council President.
Yes?
I have a request to remove 3 items from the consent agenda for separate discussion and vote.
Sure, which ones?
Item A, R19-195, item G, R19-201, and item I, R19-203.
Do we have a second?
Council President, that wasn't a motion.
We're gonna.
That was a request
We're gonna
under the
vote on
consent
it.
agenda.
We're gonna vote on it to remove those items, like we've been doing the last few meetings.
Just for discussion, though, not to remove them off the agenda.
You want just discussion or remove them?
Council President,
One more time.
the request is to remove the items from the consent agenda for a separate discussion and vote, not to table the items.
Okay, so you're making a motion to remove them.
I didn't make any motion, Council President. I used the typical procedure for a consent agenda.
It's part of our administrative.
Yeah, we're not gonna, unless we're gonna take a vote on it, I'm not gonna remove them.
Council President, I object to your
Anything else?
determination.
Anything else?
Yes, you have an objection to your determination, Council President.
One more time?
I'm objecting to your determination,
Okay, good.
Council
Thank you.
President.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Council President, just, I want to make it clear, is that it wasn't to remove it from here, it was just to take it off
He
and
wanted
have
to remove
discussion.
it, take it off.
Just for discussion, to
Well, that's
to
why I
vote
said,
on-
let's vote on it.
To
That's
vote
why I
on
said.
the actual.
That's why I
item.
said, let's vote on it.
Council President, I objected to your determination. Are you aware of your obligation under the code with regards to
Council
objection?
President, I had made a
Council
motion
President,
prior
Are
to
you
him.
aware?
Do we have a second on
That's
Jack's?
not correct, Council President.
Do we have a second on Jack's?
Council
motion?
President, you have an objection. Are you aware of your
Let's take the
obligation
roll.
under the code
Let's take the roll.
with regards to objections to your determination?
Enough, Jeremy.
Let's take the
Let's
roll.
take a roll.
Council President, you have an outburst by
Thank you,
Councilmember
Jeremy.
Quinn. Could you
Keep
please bring
talking,
Councilmember
Jeremy.
Quinn to order?
Keep talking, Jeremy.
Let's take the roll.
Chaos.
Councilmember Quinn.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander.
I can't get on. Yes. Oh, sorry.
The consent agenda. Councilmember Noon.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks.
So we're voting on the whole block of things?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Jednak.
No.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
President Sackett.
Yes. We have 6 yeses, 1 abstention, 1 no. Motion carries. Moving on. Number 10, mayor's appointments. I'll turn that over to the mayor.
A few weeks back,
Mike.
Your mic's not on?
Mike.
should be on, can you hear me?
Yep.
A few weeks back, we formed an environmental advisory committee, and the people who were formerly on the environmental commission, we sent out an email out to them, because it was not my intent to remove anybody or replace, but to reform the, instead of a commission, reform it as a committee. So I have the appointees, the people who expressed an interest, which were, these are the same folks that were on the environmental commission. We have Pat Matarazzo, who's going to be the chair, David Morris, Craig Barkenhausen, Dave Forte, Jerry Applebaum, Judith Brown, Keith D'Angelo, Lisa Salberg, and Mark Heiler. So they are going to be the members of the new Environmental Advisory Committee. And then I also have Director of Public Works. I'd like to congratulate Al Noth. And we have Bobby Shears retiring. Al has been with us a long time. He's done an excellent job. 20 years he's been with us, and he's done an excellent job. And I just want to congratulate Al and welcome him in his new position and wish him luck.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna need a vote on that position. We're gonna need a vote on the next position as well. I have a Director of Fire. We hired a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Heinzelman. Excellent resume. I'm not going to go through his resume. Excellent resume. He was interviewed by the fire companies, the chiefs, as well as the administration. He's going to do an excellent job, and we're welcoming him aboard as well. We have the acting fire official, and that's it.
Who's the acting?
Who's
fire-
the acting?
The acting is Jack,
Elko?
Yeah, we have Jack Elko. He's acting because of retirement, so we had to get approval from the state to put him in that acting position until we can get everything up and running.
and then the appointment for the fire official after he gives notice is Jeff.
It's Jeff Heinzelman again, yes.
So Jeff will be holding two positions?
Correct.
Are they part-time, the Director of Fire?
He'll be
It's
full.
going to be one full-time position, combined.
Council President,
So we need a motion on the Director of Public.
Council President,
So moved.
Do a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Council President,
We're in the middle of a roll.
we typically have discussion
You want
after a
discussion
motion.
on that? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, Council President.
Discussion on the Director of Public Works.
Council President, I was looking through my packet and I looked, thinking back through my emails. Did we receive information that this would be up for a vote tonight? Because the agenda is blank with regard to this position.
No, it's not. My agenda is the same as yours. Do you have the council?
My agenda is blank with regard to Director of Public Works.
It doesn't have a name, but it has.
It has a position on there.
Right, with no name.
Well, I wanted to announce the person tonight.
And you want to vote
It's-
tonight,
It's very ceremonious.
so you didn't actually inform the council before tonight.
Sir,
Is that correct?
Sir, listen,
Council President,
don't
did I
like-
miss some background
if
documentation?
you don't like it, vote how you choose.
Was that a no, Council President?
No, you didn't miss anything.
So you didn't provide, so the council was not afforded an opportunity to review any materials with regard to this appointment
This
prior
was-
to the
I
vote tonight?
guess the mayor wanted, this is a mayor's appointment with the consent of the council, so.
Council President, do you understand the
Maybe he
consent
wanted to make it
portion?
a surprise, I don't know.
Do you understand the consent portion of that, Council President?
Vote how you want, same thing. You could vote how you want, and we're gonna move on.
Council President,
So
don't
what-
you think it's inappropriate to be
Again, I don't think-
surprised
I
with
don't
an
think it's
appointment
inappropriate. I don't think
for a
it's
position?
inappropriate.
Council President, what does the position pay?
I don't think
Al,
it's
I'm sorry.
inappropriate.
What does
So
the
we're
position
gonna
pay,
move
Council
on.
Good
President?
night for you, I'm sorry.
We're gonna vote on a position that we didn't know
Vote how
that there was a
you like.
candidate for.
Vote how you
The
like.
position pays how much, Council President?
Vote how you like.
Councilman
Vote how you
Jedniak,
like.
if you were
Council
concerned about
President, I'm
this,
directing
why
my
didn't
questions
you
to
call
you.
How you have this?
the administration and ask this
Since
question prior
Tuesday
to
afternoon,
tonight?
Council President.
Again,
and
the
earlier.
chaos.
Why didn't you reach out prior?
Council President, why didn't the mayor
Jack.
provide the council with this information?
You could have called Mrs. Seeger, no problem. You could have called the mayor. You had
Absolutely.
opportunities, but you waited to tonight to cause a little bit of a ruckus.
And Council
You
President,
could have
why
done this
was the
beforehand.
public not informed?
You could have done this before.
It's on the website, it's blank. Doesn't the public have a right to know that an appointment is happening?
We're gonna go on to
An
the vote.
important appointment?
Okay,
A
anything else?
position that pays six figures, Council President? Do you know that the median
Sorry,
household
I
income
apologize.
in this town is $110,000, Council President? How much does this position pay in relation to
Good.
that?
Let's move on.
We have a
Take the roll.
motion.
Mr. Council President,
Do you have something?
I do. If I may, with no interruption, please.
And please be respectful.
Please.
Thank you.
Mr. Knopf, I apologize. I've known you for a very long time. You've been a member of the community. You reside in Rockaway Township. You've gone through Rockaway Township Public Schools. And from what I've seen, from what you have done, you have paid the price of doing everything for others to where you're at right now. You're a phenomenal mechanic when you worked for a Dodge dealership beforehand, so you have the knowledge of not only being a director for DPW, but you also have the field work that you've done to get to that level where you would understand the other mechanics and the other jobs and all the requirements that are needed to be in the position that you are. You've been in the trenches, at a low man on the totem pole, to where you're at right now, and I've seen you only give respect, not only to the community, to residents, to businesses, and also your employees that are there. I highly recommend that you take that position, and again, I apologize for the back and forth. Yes, there could have been some information provided about who it was, not just on your appointment, but all the appointments that are here. It didn't happen, it hasn't happened in the past, and I'm not surprised. So, I will be voting yes, and I wish we can go forward with this vote. Congratulations.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
No
Councilmember Quinn.
grandstanding.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander.
Yes.
Councilmember Noon.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks.
Yes.
Councilmember Jednak.
Having been provided no information until a few moments ago when it was announced by the mayor, reluctantly no.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
President Sackett.
Yes, 7 yeses, 1 no. Congratulations. We also have the Director of Fire, Jeffrey Heinzelman. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Council President, discussion.
Okay.
Council President, were you aware of this appointment prior to this meeting?
Same thing.
Discussion,
I had
that's
the same thing
interrogation.
you had, and I did call, and I did get some information prior.
And was the public afforded that same
I
benefit,
called
Council
that
President?
information. The public has had the agenda as well.
Right, and the agenda they had, the agenda that the public had, Council President, is blank. It has no names.
They're welcome to reach out as well.
How much does a
Public
position
had it.
pay, Council President?
They're welcome to reach out.
Do you know, Council President?
Welcome to reach
Do
out.
you know how much the position
They're
pays you're
welcome
about to
reach
vote
out.
on?
They're welcome to reach out. Anything else? Anyone else?
Don't you think the public has a right to know when we're making appointments and who those appointees are, what their background and qualifications are, Council President?
How many meetings you have left?
Why are you afraid,
Let's go.
Council President, why are you afraid of the
Let's move
public
on.
knowing these things?
Let's move on.
Why are you
Let's call
afraid of
roll.
the public knowing about the appointments you're making?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Quinn.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander.
Yes.
Councilmember Noon.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks.
Yes.
Councilmember Jednak.
Having been provided no information until a moment ago about this appointment, reluctantly no.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
President Sackett.
Yes, 6 yeses, 1 abstention, 1 no. Congratulations, Mr. Heinzelman. Moving on to number 11, any old business?
Council President.
You have old business?
I do, Council President.
Okay.
First item, Council President, is Section 2-5.1 of the governing rules. This section of the code was changed a few months ago, right? Late summer. So you might be familiar with it, although the conduct at the council meeting seems to indicate that you might have forgotten some of it. The relevant portion of this, Council President, says that questions of order, methods of organization, and the conduct of business of the Rockaway Township Council shall be determined by the Council President unless there is an objection to a determination by the Council President, in which case the matter and issue shall be determined by a majority vote of council members present at any regular or special meeting. You had objections from me at the previous meeting, Council President. You had an objection from me earlier in this meeting. You did not follow the code. I would ask you to please consult the code, know it, and please follow it, Council President.
Any other old business?
I do, Council President.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just talking about the code, you should follow what you say, because when you were council president, you never followed the code. You never recognized me, you never did anything, so learn from yourself.
Council President, there's
Learn from
plenty
yourself.
of records that show
Learn
that to
from
be the
yourself.
contrary.
Learn from yourself. What else?
Council President,
What else?
going to read to you a section with regards to the consent agendas from Robert's Rules. The consent agenda.
Which Robert rules you using tonight?
The same Robert's Rules that I bought a copy for you when you became a council member, Council
What
President.
number is it? 7, 6?
I have a photocopy in front of me,
Just tell me.
and I have the actual one right here.
Which
You,
number?
Council President, I
Council
bought a
President.
copy of this for you,
I
so
do.
you have it.
I know. I
The
never
clerk
heard of
also has a copy of it, Council President. Having answered your question, I would like to continue reading, Council President.
it. 1 second.
Page
Let me
19,
interrupt
Council
you real
President.
quick. Let me interrupt you real quick, Town Attorney.
Council President, I've already been recognized.
It's all right. Hold off 1 second.
My question, Council President, is this old business was on the agenda
since the agenda was published and handed out to members of the council. If Mr. Jedniak had these old business matters to bring to the attention of the council tonight, he certainly could have given to the council in advance.
Definitely. Yep. You give me no notice.
Thank you,
anything.
Council President. We had no notice on the appointments we just had. You had notice because I brought this up at the last meeting, Council President.
Both ways.
Council President,
Okay.
consent agenda allows members to vote on a group of items as a group without discussion. This is a good way to dispose of business that is non-controversial. When presenting it, the chair asks if any member wants to extract an item from the consent agenda. To extract an item, a member need only rise and request, for example, that item 3 be removed from the consent agenda. This means that the member wants to discuss and vote on the issue separately. The request does not need a second and is not discussed, and no vote is taken to remove it from the consent agenda. After the members finish extracting items from the consent agenda, the presiding officer presents the modified consent agenda to the assembly once again and takes the vote by general consent. The extracted items are added to the regular agenda under the proper categories for bringing up such items. It's in Robert's Rules, Council President. I bought you a copy out of my own pocket. Every other town in this entire state operates this way, Council President. The entire time that you were a council member when I was council president, this is how we operated, Council President. The only time that we did not operate...
Just so you know, I bought my own copy. You told me where to get it. I did buy my own copy. You didn't pay for it. I paid for it. But thank you for saying that.
You're welcome, Council President. This is how every other town in this state operates, except for Rockaway Township. Council President,
Anything else?
yes, I'm passing this down so that you have a copy. I highlighted the relevant parts that I read for your benefit.
Okay. I'll put it in my bag for tomorrow.
Great,
What
Council
else?
President.
Anything else?
Yes, Council President, thank you. Council President, at the October 7th meeting, there was some discussion about some new hires that had taken place recently. The mayor promised to provide the council with the list of new hires. I followed up through the clerk on October 22nd. To my knowledge, I haven't seen any emails from the administration with the information promised by the mayor.
And you will not get that information. We're very busy right now. It's low on my priority list. It's not required for the council to have that, but that's not the reason why I haven't been responsive. It's low on my priority list to do that project. We're very, very busy, and once we get through everything that we need to get through, it's budget season, things that really matter, things that are going to move Rockaway Township forward, maybe we'll get to it.
So, Council President, we just heard that the mayor is no longer going to fulfill the promise that he made in October to provide us with the information that he said he would. He's also told us that there's no reason for the council to know who's been hired. Does the administration not know who's been hired? Don't you have to put them on payroll? Is it really so difficult and so time-consuming to create a list, Mr. Mayor?
Very difficult, very time-consuming, but thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, Council President, thank you. It's November. We're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. Almost a year since the November 2018 Thanksgiving ransomware attack on our police department. Still, the council has no information about that ransomware attack. Is there a status update on that, Council President?
I have no status update from what the mayor told me last time. It was in law enforcement's hands, and that's where I'm sticking with it.
And which law enforcement is still investigating this almost a year later, Council President?
I'm not law enforcement.
Do you know which law enforcement, Council
I'm
President?
not law enforcement.
Do you know which law enforcement?
I'm not law enforcement.
Yeah, I'm aware that you're not, but do you know which?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't.
Does the mayor know?
It's handed off. It's out of my hands. I don't ask those type of questions.
You'd rather be willfully
Anything
ignorant about
else?
it, Council President.
Anything else?
Yes, Council President.
You got it.
So we're now more than a year beyond the passing of our previous Mayor Datchison. A year beyond, his cell phone, his mobile phone, and laptop have gone missing.
Get
Council
over
President.
it.
What's the status of his missing mobile phone and laptop, Council
An
President?
update on the cell phone or laptop is ready. I'm good.
What's the
Turn it
status
over.
of that, Council
I don't need
President?
the status update. Yeah. Anything else? Are you gonna ask these same questions?
So we're still, so more than a year later, we still don't know how a cell phone and a laptop disappear off of a deceased person in their own home with multiple law enforcement officials around.
The question is,
Does that concern you?
Yeah, my concern is that weren't you the first person in his office? So maybe why don't you give me an update?
Council President, do you leave your...
Weren't you in there?
No, Council President, absolutely not.
You were in there snooping around. you give me an update.
Really?
Maybe you seem to know.
Really?
You keep asking all the time.
Yes, because I'd like to know.
Well, maybe you have information you want to share.
Council President, if I had information, I wouldn't be asking.
Otherwise, let's move on. Okay, we have any new business?
Council President, I still have old business, thank you.
What else? Anything that's,
Yes, Council President.
Something's good?
Council President,
Hold on the page.
from the consent agenda this evening, Resolution R19-195. So by the way, on that consent agenda, there's over $500,000, Council President, of spending that this council didn't discuss and simply passed. I'm sure the taxpayers who wonder why their taxes go up every year will know exactly why they go up, because the group that you have here doesn't want to discuss anything. They simply want to pass increased spending.
Aren't you moving soon? Aren't your house for sale? So, come on.
Council President, are you aware of something that I'm not aware of with regard to my residents?
I've heard.
Council President, I've lived here since the 6th grade. I went to the same high school that you did, and I continue to live here.
Sure.
If you know something I don't, Council President, please inform me.
Anything else? Yes,
Council President. Resolution 195, Council President, from this evening's agenda. Do you have the documents? Do you have the supporting documentation?
I already put it away. I've moved on.
Right. Do you have the supporting documentation, Council President?
Nope.
You're right, you don't. None of us do. Not a single one of the council members received a stitch of supporting documentation with regard to that.
Okay.
$300,000 worth of spending, money being moved around, no supporting documentation,
Every council member has
President.
the right to vote, abstain. No,
Right.
they could have
And
done
what about the
whatever they
members of the
wanted.
public who have to pay for these things, Council President? When do they get to find that out? When do they get to find out, Council President?
What else?
Council President, Resolution 201 with regard to the Jefferson Health Services Agreement.
Isn't this new business? You're talking about old business.
No, this is old business.
It should be new.
You voted on it, Council
Okay.
President. You just
All right.
voted on it with no discussion. Maybe that's why you can't remember.
Okay.
Council President, Resolution R19-201 references in Section 1, 5-year extension to interlocal agreement, which is submitted herewith and made a part of as Exhibit A, Council President. Where's Exhibit A? Is there an Exhibit A anywhere in this backup documentation, anywhere in this resolution that you voted for? You won't find Exhibit A, Council President. You voted on an incomplete resolution without even knowing it, because you probably didn't even look at it.
I've read through everything, believe me.
Where's Exhibit
multiple
A?
times,
Here.
multiple times.
Here's a copy. Show me Exhibit A.
I don't need your Exhibit
Here
A.
you go. Exactly. There isn't an Exhibit
Unless
A.
you have something like,
It is-
like a regular
It
person
states
that
here,
sounds like-
submitted herewith and made part of as Exhibit A.
Okay. Anything
Nothing.
else?
Thank you,
Done?
Council President.
Okay, good.
I have one other item, Council President.
What is it?
Resolution 203, Council President, that we voted on tonight. A resolution for a permit. Township is required to make an application to NJDEP, whereas an application for the subject permit has been prepared and is submitted herewith and made a part hereof for the council's review. Where is it, Council President? No application for the permit included in the documentation. None of this for the public on the website. Why are you hiding these things, Council President?
I'm not hiding.
Why doesn't the public have a right to know these things?
I'm not hiding nothing. Thank you. All right, moving on to new business.
I have
A,
some,
it says
Council
discussion
President,
of the,
Council President,
you had old business?
I did, real simple.
Okay, thank you.
There's just a couple of things, and just based on what was going on with old business. One, we had spoken last time with regard to the sewer commission meeting dates. Have you acquired any dates yet?
Yes, they they have a few dates they've thrown around for December. They're not
Are they
finalized.
confirmed, or
They're not confirmed.
No confirmed. Can I get an email of those confirmation dates?
Once they have that, should be out.
Obviously.
They're gonna post, at least from what I was told, it's gonna be on the website.
Okay. I mean, what's the projection time frame? A week, 2 weeks?
They wanna have the meeting in probably the first, second week of December.
Okay. The other thing, with regard to the employee information that Mr. Jeniak, or Councilman Jeniak, was asking. Mr. Mayor, going back and forth, when we deal with Oprah, right? I mean, you're well aware of Oprah and OPMA, and under 47-1A1, it's not really mandatory that Oprah has to be invoked in order to get documentation unless there's a denial of giving that information. As you say that you're very busy and you got a lot of things that are going on with your administration, simply if it was responded to Councilman Jeniak, if he just filled out an Oprah request, you would have to then meet that obligation to provide the documentation that he requested. would you still be willing to produce the information or the documents that are related to that, if by law they're disclosable?
Mr. Kelly, thank you for your comments. I'm not going to go have it be.
It's not, it's just a
back and
question,
forth.
it's just yes or no.
Yeah, well, it's a question that I'm not going to answer.
Okay, so I have no
I'm
more,
not gonna answer. It's
no
not
more new
gonna
business.
turn
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate it.
Moving on to number 12,
Thank
new
you.
business. It says a discussion of the 2019 best practices inventory. Was that something?
That's
okay,
me.
Lisa, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just reporting on our annual best practices inventory, which is required for us to file by the Division of Local Government Services. The 2019 questionnaire had 84 questions in a variety of topics. There were about 12 topics, including personnel, budget, finances, financial administration, capital, shared services, etc. There were three categories that were consisting of what they called core competencies, which, and then there was another section called best practices, and then an unscored section that dealt with just the division gathering information. In order to receive 100% of our state aid, we needed to reach a score, a minimum of 30. We did score 44, so we will be receiving 100% of our state aid. Let's see, it gave us a score of 93%, which is, again, more than enough to receive all of our state aid. We are posting this on our website. I will put it on there tomorrow if you want to take a closer look at it. It is rather lengthy. Like I said, there were 84 questions. And if you have any questions, you can email me or let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, why didn't the council receive a copy of that in advance so we could discuss it tonight in an informed way?
She said if you have any questions, you could reach out to her, so.
Right, but why doesn't the public get to observe those questions
If you have
and
a
see the
question-
discussion?
She just said, if you have a question, you can reach out to her. Moving
Right,
on.
how can we have a question if we haven't been able to review it, Council President?
Moving on to reports.
And why doesn't the public get to see those
Moving on
questions?
to reports. I don't know if they really want to hear your questions while you're rambling tonight, okay?
Council President, it's a clear
Moving on.
question. Why can't we review it beforehand so we can have a discussion
It's just a
tonight?
new business thing. She was just reporting on new business. It wasn't a discussion.
The questionnaire is complete. It's going to be posted. Why not provide it to the council?
Feel free
It's
to
on the
answer any
agenda
question, drop
so
her-
that we can
feel
review
free to
it
drop
and
her an
discuss
email
it
after.
publicly.
Feel
Why
free
don't
to
you
drop
want to
her an
discuss
email.
it publicly, Council
Feel free
President?
to drop her an email after.
Council President, why don't you want to allow the public to be able to review it?
I'm trying to move on, okay?
Council President, why don't you want the public to be able to review it?
Trying to move on. Let's move on.
Why
to
don't you want the
reports.
public to hear your discussion regarding it?
Moving on to reports. Let's go to council reports. Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. The last time we were here, it's been some time since we've had a council meeting. But I just wanted to know and let everybody know in Lake Telemark, we have a pizza place that had just opened up, Tony's Pizza. They've been under renovations for a long time. They had some hiccups and some road bumps that they had to overcome, but they are open. It is great. And Sal, from the previous owner that's been in there, has been seen inside and enjoys it as well, and the food's great. So if anybody's in that area, local businesses, there's also Green Pond Grill that's right around the corner. They've been open for some time. I did mention that last time. So just support your local businesses up that way. A little over 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty crazy storm and some wind that came in. We had some power outages that were up in the northern area. One of them on Upper Hibernia was two primaries that touched together from a tree falling down across the street, right where Elizabeth Lane and Upper Hibernia is. Got some great photos if anybody wants them from the flame and the spark from the videos that were there. But JCP&L, like I said, everybody kind of complains about JCP&L when they have their power loss for the 1 or 2 or 3 days that they have that year versus the 362 or 3 days that they have a year they have power. And they've been doing a preventive maintenance program for some time and trimming back and trying to minimize those things. But this was a rotted tree that had fallen. Of course, it was no fault to them, but they did expedite the response. The police were wonderful with that and helping out. The fire banquet and inspection, it was phenomenal. What our volunteers do in all of our fire companies, including Green Pond, which is kind of like the stepchild of the 5 companies that we have. We don't inspect them, but I've been up there. They do a phenomenal job too. It was great. The mayor was there throughout all of the companies to inspect, and the banquet itself was top notch. Maybe the last banquet there at Zers Inn depending on what's going on, if it is going through its sale or whatnot. But the owners were recognized and considered a member of the fire company. And again, it was well attended, and it was a great night. I also wanted to recognize again, since it's been some time, Veterans Day had just passed. I know the mayor, his father served in WW2, mine in Vietnam, and we also have Officer Matos in the back there, and we have other veterans within Rockaway Township and throughout the world, just to recognize them and for their service and dedication to give us the ability to assemble here and enjoy our freedoms and stuff like that. Yeah. But anyways, I just wanted to recognize Officer Matos in the back too for his veteran status. And then congratulations to Mr. Noth, well deserved. And there was also a runner-up, and I wanted to congratulate him too. I mean, he's a phenomenal worker within the water department and did try to put the opportunity there. And you both are great people and well-deserving positions that you have, and you do a phenomenal job. So I just want to recognize that as well. No other reports.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yes. The ordinance committee, we were going to meet and go over them, but our town attorney had not had a chance to review the ordinances that were prior certified, so we are going to try to meet again November 26th at 6:30 if everything is done by then by John reviewing the ordinances.
Where will we be meeting?
That will be decided once we know we are meeting.
Could
Okay?
you send me an email on that? I'd like to attend.
Sure, anytime.
All right, thank you.
All right, the Department of Senior Services and Dial-A-Ride, we had our second function, which was at Cracker Barrel. It was a great event. A lot of people attended, and they all had a good time. We are setting up our third event, which is November 26th, and that will be at IHOP. And anybody that wants information on that, please call the office here. All right. Moving on to the planning board that I attend. The planning board, we had Cabela, I can't pronounce them. They're the meat product place on Green Pond. They are putting in, excuse me? Seabow, thank you. They are putting in solar canopies over their parking lot. And one of the things I asked them to do was to put in charging stations for electric cars. Morris County College did that, and it worked out fine for any of the kids. So they're looking at that also.
Our movie theaters have that too.
Then I took a trip with the White Meadow Lake Friendship Club, and it was a phenomenal event. It always is every year, and I have to thank them very much for putting that on. Thanks again. Other than that, sir, I am done.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Friedlander?
Yes, first, hold on.
Okay, I'm good. The library, we're just waiting for the check from the insurance company.
Correct.
Finally, and full steam ahead on the Hibernia branch to get it cleaned up and fixed. The Historical Society got their first grant money, they're just waiting for it, and then they're gonna reach out and finally, I think the first item on their agenda is putting in a bathroom in the Fort Face House. So that's moving ahead. Jack already mentioned the ordinance committee, that we're just finalizing some paperwork to get that going again. And the sewer assessment commission, we're finalizing, if you ask our attorney, they're just putting together all the information that they have to start reviewing. Also the dates, there'll be all the officials on that commission will be notified on dates, preferably, I said, sooner than later, which is the beginning of December. And then we'll move ahead, and it will be on our website. All the information and all the reports will be on the website as far as the assessment commission. And that's it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just one topic.
Yeah, sure.
With the library.
The library itself, from what I understand, had an issue with a running toilet, which led to the flooding of the downstairs of the
Yes.
Hibernia Library.
That's correct.
And from that running toilet flooding, and then I believe we have only a cesspool that's over in the library property, that it overflowed, backflowed into the facilities and then overflowed into the lower level. Would that be accurate? Mrs. Seer?
I am not sure if it was the water they left running or the toilet. I didn't investigate that part.
Okay, so we don't know the real cause of how the insurance company reviewed it and gave us. The only concern I have is if when's the last time that we've actually had well, if it's a cesspool, it's not even a tank, it's a pit. But have we had any service done on that? Or looked into this, if that is a primary issue and it's all septic up that way from Meriden Road north, so that we don't have this happen again, God forbid.
I think it was something they should have noticed before they left, but
They
I
should
will
have
check
noticed.
into it. I will check into it.
But have we had any septic or,
I will check into it. I don't know.
thank you. When would you get back to me on that?
As soon as I get an answer.
Maybe a week, shouldn't take that long?
I don't know, but I'll check into it.
Anything else, Manny?
You know,
Great, thank you,
always
thank
come
you.
back to everybody.
Anything else, Manny?
Okay, on a different note, White Meadow Lake Firehouse, that's Company 5, is having the 23rd annual breakfast with Santa, December 1st, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Adults $10 and children 10 and under 4. And we'll have another meeting before, and I'll bring it up again and remind everybody.
What's the date again, Mr. President?
It is December 1st,
Okay, thank you.
9 a.m. to 12 a.m. at the firehouse.
12 p.m.
12 p.m.
Well, that'd be a long party. That'd be a long
Uh,
night for Santa. Long day for Santa.
It was also at the
Long day for
seniors,
Santa.
and I haven't recovered yet. The seniors can really party.
Ms. Noon?
Yes. I'm gonna mess it up. Darks Lake, what was it
Dark
called?
Lake?
Dark Lake. That was superb. And the public just had such a good time. That was just so awesome. And I'm looking forward to next year because that was awesome. I just have, does anybody have a date are they doing the tree lighting here and the menorah lighting here? And do we have dates for that yet? Or is it too soon, or is it?
We're still working out some of the details,
I
but
think it might be the
Probably know by November.
I'm thinking it's
Yeah, December 10th.
but, I will verify that.
6. It's a
and get
Friday.
back to you. Wait, let me,
It's a Friday.
have it written down.
I don't-
I
Okay,
will
all right.
check with you and I'll
Okay,
get back to you.
all right.
It'll be posted on the website, though?
Okay.
It always is.
Yep.
Okay, and the only other thing, and if there's not an answer, it's okay, was there another water main break on Herrick this morning?
There was
Does
some
any of
work going on
administration
there.
know?
There was something going on.
Rockaway
Yes, there
Borough.
was Rockaway Borough, repaired the main that up at around, I think it was around 450 Herrick Drive.
Yeah,
Around 9 o'clock this morning.
okay, all right. All right, that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jedniak.
Council President, since our last meeting was canceled, Veterans Day took place. I want to thank everyone who serves in our military. Congratulations to Mr. Noth on his appointment. Despite the manner of that appointment, I'm sure he'll do a great job for us. Council President, this council has unfortunately reverted to its prior practices of hiding discussions from the public,
This is a
hiding
report
spending. This is my report,
Okay.
Council President.
about the
Hiding
town,
spending
not-
from the
not
public.
hiding.
Again, you're making my point for me, Council President. Hiding public discussion, preventing it, avoiding it. You don't want to hear it. I know that, Council President.
Say whatever you
Continue to hide it.
I'm not hiding
Tonight,
anything.
over $500,000 in spending not discussed.
I have nothing to hide.
When the public observes the lack of discussion that's going on here, they won't have to wonder why their taxes go up next year and thereafter. Practices like these lead only one place: more spending, more taxes. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks?
Thank you. Also wanted to thank the Park Lake Spectacular, the Dark Lake Spectacular. That was very great. I was able to spend some time there with the family and walk around, and a lot of people did come up and have suggestions. So I think when we have our next committee meeting for that. We'll be able to discuss that and be able to push further on that. Also, for those who haven't figured it out yet, the bridge is now closed at Park Lake, so I would just take some time to figure out what way is going to be best for you in the morning, because you're going to be traveling roads that maybe you're not as familiar with, know the speed limits and where the stop signs are, because I saw a couple people running some stop signs because they're not used to traveling those streets. So thank you.
Jackson?
Yeah, just a couple things. I also attended the Dark Lake Spectacular. It was outstanding, unbelievable amount of people. I think he's not here tonight, but I want to again congratulate Mr. Shear on his retirement. I think he only has a couple of weeks left. Served our community for 30 years, did a great job. I wanted to congratulate the Rockets. They finished out their season, had a great season. I think the field, everything's in great shape, thanks to the township and Dave Swanton and all the work his team does. I want to thank, a couple of weeks ago, taught a Rutgers safety class with Sue Gabe from our rec department. She does a great job organizing it, and that's it.
Thank you. Just ditto on the Dark Lake event everyone mentioned. I unfortunately did not attend, but my family was there, and I know it was something that we had originally talked about on our Park and Recreation Committee, and then I brought it to the mayor, and he was a little hesitant at first, but he hopped on board.
I thought that they had it planned
Yeah.
already, and we usually do a trunk or treat. And then I spoke to Brian, and he said, no, we haven't had it planned. It was, short notice thing. He said, no, I can do it. Brian, our recreational director, said, I can do it. We haven't sent out notices, and we joined forces with Rockaway Borough. Weather, all these events are weather dependent, obviously. The weather was fantastic. The climate was fantastic. A couple adjustments we'll make next year. Parking, we'll do a few things like that, but it was outstanding. Outstanding. I can't say how, describe how good it was.
Okay, great event. Eric Totten, a resident from Rockaway Township, was one of the ones who helped spearhead it, and it's great when we're able to work together with our neighboring towns to do these type of events. It's a great thing.
Council President, just real quick on that, do you guys have a projection, because originally when it was brought to the borough, including the Halloween thing, Mr. Totten came a little bit later with that, but we talked about the holiday thing for Christmas and Hanukkah around the park. You said that you were looking into that. I had already brought it to the council in the borough a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
They were in on that. You would mention that maybe you might be looking into that, rather renting some of those things like JFK or Morristown.
We had a meeting with them, and I had a meeting with the mayor. They were supposed to get back to Pat. They had their council meeting, and they have decided to not
Participate in our Christmas event, and does not want to do shared for the
But are
holiday.
we having our Christmas event at Park Lake? Or are we having our Christmas event here?
That is why the announcement is not out yet. Brian is working on the details, and we may do it at Park, but we were doing a holiday decoration together for all Park Lakes, and we were doing one part and they were doing another. They have refused to join us this year. So we will
Refuse?
be just doing,
Not refused. They have
They-
certain issues
They
that,
turned it down.
yeah, they decided not to partner with us.
Okay,
They
thank
have
you.
their own internal issues that they,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Also, I was at the Citizen Recreation Committee meeting on Tuesday night, and the committee is really looking forward to seeing the Peterson Field project move ahead as quickly as possible. And also, congratulations to Mayor Puccio on his re-election and the rest of his Rockaway First team. I look forward to working with you all and to continue to move Rockaway forward and make Rockaway Township the best town in Morris County. Thank you. We have the mayor next.
I just want to say that I'm glad that the election's over with. Jonathan and his team as well worked very hard. We ran into each other as we were going door to door. It was always friendly, a couple laughs, got a little spirited at times, but in a good way. Jonathan and I have developed a friendship over the course of our time on council, and I'm looking forward to working with him. He's an asset to our town and works hard. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, besides just these council meetings. There's a lot of phone calls, There's a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion, a lot of ideas that are thrown around. It doesn't all happen here. It would be impossible. These council meetings would last 10, 15 hours if we were to, compile everything that we do, in a few weeks' time, as far as the discussions and all the things that the administration does. So I want to say, congratulations on they ran an excellent campaign and worked very, very hard. With that said, I'm going to move into Parks Lake. Like I said, the Halloween event was magnificent. I can't stress how good that was. Congratulate Al on his appointment. I know he's going to serve the township well. That's what we're all here for, to try to move the town forward and get some projects done. And I'm looking forward to, soon 2020 is around the corner. I'm looking for a productive 2020 and just doing what we need to do to get the town in shape.
Thank you, Mayor. Township Attorney?
Just a couple of quick comments first. Al, congratulations. Well earned. With respect to the STR, short-term rental situation, this is an issue that Councilman Friedlander and Council President Sackett have been concerned and interested with. It was addressed by Mr. Alardi. We have isolated a form of short-term rental ordinance, and then unexpectedly, we got months earlier than expected the redraft of the entire township code, which among other things, from the Code Revision Company, which among other things, it's our responsibility to review. We have also, with the aid of our planner, Dave Novak, isolated the options that are available in terms of the placement of any new short-term rental ordinance into our ordinance as a whole, and we believe we've isolated the place. Now we just have to review the new code document to determine where it'll fit in there. So essentially, it's a mechanical process from here on in. I hope that before, there's a chance we're going to have a short-term rental ordinance for our next meeting, and we will work with that, assuming we can get it done by then. With respect to the Sewer Assessment Commission, there was some discussion about that tonight, so the public is aware of where we are on that. With the tremendous help of our tax assessor, Mark Burek, we have assembled a considerable hoard of documents, which is going to constitute much of the evidence that's going to be presented to the Sewer Assessment Commissioners. This information is going to be disseminated to the commissioners in the very near future, hopefully by next week. We're also, with the cooperation of our clerk, Chrissy, we've isolated some dates for the availability of this room because the meetings of the Sewer Assessment Commission have to be public meetings. We imagine that a number of people will be interested, and we're happy that a number of people will be interested. So what we'll be doing is now the administration will be getting out to the commissioners by early next week, surveying their availability for the various available dates that Chrissy has gotten for us, and hopefully we'll be able to have an initial meeting of the Sewer Assessment Commission sometime in early December. That's a hope now, because I said before there's a large amount of information that has to be disseminated, but my hope is that we'll start the hearing sometime in December. The process is a somewhat lengthy process and will undoubtedly continue into the new year, but we are on the right track and everything has been gotten together. It needs to be assembled for the presentation. That's all I have.
Council President?
Thank you.
If I could just follow up on Mr. Giatrofano real quick.
Okay.
Mr. Giatrofano, the documents that you have assembled, that you had gathered from Mr. Burak, do you have them stored electronically by chance?
No.
Are they public record?
They will be all posted on the township's website.
Prior to the commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Council President.
You have something on that as well?
Yes, Council President.
Okay.
Council President has mentioned that those meetings must be open to the public, and therefore they'll be taking place in this meeting room that the council uses. Will those meetings also be streamed on the township's YouTube channel for those who can't attend in person?
That's not my job.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Can it be? Can we do it?
Why wouldn't it be, Council President?
Something to discuss. We'll talk about it.
Who-
Talk about it with the town attorney, and we'll go from there. Okay,
I
let's move
certainly
on.
have, I certainly have no objection to
Yeah.
it, but again, that's not, mechanics of broadcasting.
doing that.
Not in my
Yeah.
job description.
Good. Moving on, Ms. Seeger.
Other than congratulating everybody and our new staff that I'm looking forward to working with, I have no report, sir.
Lisa.
Just that the 2020 budget process is well underway. Pat and I have met with department heads, and we'll continue to do so throughout the month and into next month, and then looking forward to presenting it to the mayor, and then ultimately we'll be presenting it to the council.
Thank you. Allison.
No report.
Dave.
No report.
Al.
I just want to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to progress in my career. I look forward to working with all of you. I'm just a small gear in the whole cog of the transmission of this town. And I look forward to keep on moving the train forward here. Just to let everyone know, we got our first few loads of salt. The north dome is topped off. The south dome will be topped off tomorrow, so we're ready for winter, unfortunately. I look at it this way, where I'm one day closer to summer, so that's the way I roll. Other than that, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Everyone all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.